3:14 local time. Deep within a rain-slicked tree line in eastern Ukraine, the silence is obliterated by a violent flash and a column of fire. An ATACMS missile tears out of its launcher, climbing fast, hard and high, accelerating into a ballistic arc that compresses tens of minutes into mere seconds. But it isn't flying alone. Lower, hugging the terrain in a different rhythm, SCALP and Storm Shadow cruise missiles are already ghosting through Russian radar gaps. This is the most sophisticated timing problem the Kremlin has ever had to solve. At the Donetsk airport, a shattered icon of the war, Russian launch crews are moving between fuel containers and launch rails with the routine confidence of a safe rear area. One technician bends over a Shahed fuselage. Another feeds coordinates into a drone that will never take flight. They believe they are protected by distance, by habit, and by years of occupation. They are wrong. The strike confirmed by Ukraine's General Staff on March 7th wasn't just a mission. It was a carefully layered kill chain designed to turn a safe hub into a furnace. In a matter of minutes, Ukraine didn't just hit a target, they hit a process. From the storage bays to the launch rails, the big mistake is unfolding. Tonight, the side that thought it owned the darkness is about to watch its industrial drone war go up in secondary detonations. The first sign is not sound, it is timing. A Russian operator at Donetsk airport stares at a screen filled with routine symbols, routine tracks, routine confidence. On the ground, crews move between revetments, pallets, fuel containers, vans and launch rails. A Shahed wing lies in one bay. Another drone is already being checked, armed and fed coordinates. Somewhere nearby, an air defense team believes this rear area site is protected by distance, by clutter, by habit. Then the first ATACMS are already in the air. They do not cruise in low and slow. They climb fast, hard and high, tearing out of Ukrainian launchers with a violent flash and a column of fire. Booster burn, separation, ballistic arc. In minutes, not tens of minutes, they are on their way east. Russian radar crews have no long, comfortable window to think this through. They have seconds to sort noise from threat, and even less time to decide what to shoot. But the ballistic missiles are only part of the problem. Lower, further back, and moving on a different rhythm, Storm Shadow and SCALP cruise missiles are also inbound. They hug terrain, they use pre-planned routes. They arrive from angles that force defenders to split attention at exactly the wrong moment. One threat comes fast and steep, the other comes low and smart. One compresses reaction time, the other complicates it. This is not just a strike package, it is a timing problem designed to break the people on the receiving end. At the Shahed site, nobody knows yet that the sequence has already begun. A truck backs toward a prep area. A technician bends over a fuselage. Another checks the launcher spacing. Somewhere off to the side, a Russian soldier probably thinks the real danger is still further north, or further west, or later tonight. Donetsk airport has been in Russian hands for years. It feels familiar. Familiarity is dangerous, especially in a war where reconnaissance is always watching. Then the radar starts to light up. An operator catches a track, maybe two. The speed is wrong for drones. The profile is wrong for the usual harassment. Another console shows a possible low-altitude contact. Another team asks for confirmation. Another asks for authorization. This is where integrated defense either works or collapses, because the first crew to understand what is happening is already late. Interceptors begin to move. Too late. The defenders are now facing the oldest truth in modern strike warfare. If everything arrives at once, the side under attack stops fighting as a system and starts reacting as fragments. The ballistic threat pulls eyes upward. The cruise threat pulls sensors outward. The launch crews on the ground hear warnings, but warnings are not escape. Not when drones, fuel, munitions, vehicles and personnel are all packed into the same kill box. The first impacts hit like a hammer. ATACMS comes down with almost no drama for the people below. No long cinematic approach, just impact. A blast at the edge of the site, then another. Concrete, metal, and drone components go vertical in one violent burst. Shock rolls across the old airport grounds. A launch frame flips. A truck burns instantly. Men run in the wrong direction, because in the first second, there is no right direction. And then the cruise missiles arrive. This is what makes the strike feel surgical and overwhelming at the same time. The ballistic strikes smash, stun, and open the target. The cruise missiles come in to tear through what remains of the operating infrastructure. Storage points, prep areas, launch positions. The parts of the system that let Russia turn a pile of components into a night attack on Ukrainian cities. A fire starts, then another, then secondary detonations begin. That is the giveaway. Not just one explosion, but the chained violence of stored war material cooking off. Fuel, warheads, ready-to-use drones, spare parts, launch gear, maybe command equipment, maybe vehicles. What had looked like a working rear area hub now looks like a furnace. And because this is Donetsk Airport, an already shattered battlefield icon, the images feel almost historical. A place that once symbolized defense is now being used to launch terror drones, and now it is burning again. This is the moment the strike stops being a local event and becomes a strategic signal. Ukraine did not just hit something valuable, it hit a process. Storage, preparation, launch. Not one drone in the sky, the whole chain on the ground. If you are getting value from this analysis, subscribe and stay with us to the end. Because what happened at Donetsk Airport tells you a lot about where the drone war is going next. Now step back and look at what was actually destroyed. A Shahed hub is not just a warehouse full of flying lawnmowers with explosives strapped to them. It is a functioning ecosystem. You need covered storage to keep airframes, engines, and warheads protected. You need preparation space where crews assemble components, test systems, fuel platforms, and upload routes. You need launch infrastructure, which can range from simple rails and trucks to more organized dispersal layouts, support vehicles, communications links, and local security. Hit only one piece, and Russia can patch around it. Hit all three in one sequence, and you do something much more important. You interrupt tempo. And tempo matters because Shahed warfare is not about one drone, it is about volume. Russia launches Shahed-type drones at Ukraine almost every day. According to the Institute for Science and International Security's February 2026 analysis, 4,442 Shahed-type drones were launched in January 2026, including 2,915 strike drones, with the rest classed as decoys. That works out to roughly 143 Shahed-type launches per day on average in January. In the summer and fall of 2025, the average was even higher, at about 175 per day, peaking in July at 203. Those numbers tell you why hubs like Donetsk Airport matter so much. They are not just convenient, they are industrial. They let Russia sustain repetition. This is where the airport matters. Donetsk Airport sits inside occupied territory, close enough to the front and to launch corridors to support operations, but far enough from the line that Russia has treated it like usable rear infrastructure. That makes it attractive for drone logistics. Components can be moved in, airframes can be staged, crews can work under the umbrella of layered occupation infrastructure. Launches can then be sent toward Ukrainian cities, infrastructure, and frontline sectors. So when Ukraine strikes Donetsk Airport, it is not simply hitting a patch of rubble with symbolic value. It is hitting a node inside a live network. And that network is built around economics as much as explosives. Shahed warfare is cheap by design from the attacker's point of view. A drone does not need to be exquisite to be useful. It just needs to force defenders to spend time, missiles, ammunition, electricity, manpower, and attention. Russia mixes real strike drones with decoys for exactly that reason. Saturation is the point. Confusion is the point. Where is the point? So when Ukraine destroys drones before launch, it flips the cost equation. Russia loses airframes, fuel, parts, launch gear, and trained crews, without ever forcing Ukraine to absorb the incoming wave. That is the real beauty of this strike from a military perspective. It is preemption without fantasy. Ukraine did not have to destroy all of Russia's Shahed production. It did not have to stop every launch everywhere. It just had to prove that even in occupied Donetsk, even in a hardened rear area, the launch chain can be found, fixed, and hit. And once that becomes believable, every future Russian launch crew has to work under more pressure. Every commander has to disperse more. Every storage site has to move more often. Every launch schedule becomes more fragile. Now look at the weapons combination, because this part matters. ATACMS and Storm Shadow, or SCALP, do not do the same job. That is exactly why using them together is so dangerous. ATACMS is a fast-arriving ballistic strike option that compresses decision time and can smash area targets, support nodes, or clustered equipment with brutal speed. Storm Shadow and SCALP are air-launched cruise missiles, designed for deep precision strikes against high-value targets, especially when route planning, penetration, and precise aim points matter. Put them together and you get layered effects: speed plus precision, shock plus dislocation. And Ukraine is not using these missiles in isolation. The reports around this strike pointed to reconnaissance support, including imagery analysis and unmanned observation. That is the deeper story. Long-range missiles are only as good as the kill chain behind them. You need surveillance to find the site. You need pattern analysis to know when the site is actually full and active. You need confidence that what you are hitting is not just empty concrete. Then you need coordination between ground-based missile units and the Air Force. Ukraine's own reporting said the strike was carried out by rocket forces and artillery in coordination with the Air Force. That phrase sounds bureaucratic. It is not. It means Ukraine is making different strike arms behave like one machine. This is where the war becomes a system versus system contest. Russia built a drone pressure campaign based on mass, adaptation, and routine. Ukraine is answering with reconnaissance density, deep strikes, and timing. One side is trying to make the sky heavy every night. The other is trying to make the launch cycle unsafe every day. One side floods, the other side hunts the pump. And when you connect this to Ukraine's broader drone war, the logic becomes even clearer. Ukraine has spent the last 2 years building what you could call layered attrition. FPV drones close to the line, recon drones over supply routes, naval drones at sea, long-range strike drones deep into Russia. Now add Western long-range missiles to hit higher-value fixed nodes when intelligence lines up. In other words, Ukraine is creating kill zones at multiple depths. Near the front, those kill zones trap infantry and vehicles. Deep in the rear, they trap logistics and launch infrastructure. Different tools, same concept. Find concentration, punish concentration. That matters because Russia's drone campaign depends on concentration more than it wants to admit. To launch large waves, you need supply discipline, you need storage, you need prepared airframes, you need launch crews, you need protected communications. You need enough local confidence to keep doing it night after night. If Ukraine can repeatedly attack those hubs, Russia faces a nasty choice: cluster assets and risk catastrophic losses, or disperse assets and lose efficiency. Neither option is attractive. This is the strategic impact on Ukrainian cities. Every Shahed destroyed on the ground is one less object flying toward apartment blocks, substations, transformer yards, factories, and urban air defense belts. Every prep site burned forces delays. Every launch rail destroyed narrows a window. Even when Russia can regenerate, disruption matters. If a launch is delayed by hours, a synchronized wave may shrink. If it shrinks, interception becomes easier. If multiple hubs become unsafe, Russia must stretch routes, move stock, and expose more pieces of the chain to surveillance. The result may not be dramatic on one night. Over months, it can be decisive. And there is another effect here: psychological pressure. For Russian crews, Shahed warfare was supposed to be one of the safer ways to hurt Ukraine from depth. Prepare, launch, relocate, repeat. But Donetsk airport shows that the safe rear is not truly safe. A launch crew that thinks it might become the target instead of the shooter works differently. More hesitation, more dispersal, more mistakes, more delay. War is mechanical, but it is also human. Fear gets into the process. The future outlook is where this gets even more serious. If Ukraine can repeat this kind of strike against hubs in Donetsk, Crimea, or deeper rear-launch areas, the drone war could start to shift from interception-heavy defense to launch chain suppression, not replacing air defense, reinforcing it. You still need guns, mobile teams, electronic warfare, and interceptors over the cities. But now you add a second layer of defense hundreds of kilometers away, at the point where Russia stores, assembles, and sends the drones out. That is how you turn defense into active disruption. And repeated strikes would force Russia to spend resources on protection instead of attack. More camouflage, more decoys, more relocation, more guard units, more engineering work, more air defense assigned to rear drone hubs instead of frontline troops or critical infrastructure. This is how a good deep strike campaign works. It does not just destroy, it compels reallocation. It makes the enemy spend effort defending the means of aggression. That is the bigger lesson from Donetsk airport. Ukraine is trying to build a kill zone that does not end at the trench line. It reaches into occupied logistics nodes, command posts, artillery sites, and now the launch ecosystem of Russia's Shahed war. The strike near Donetsk airport fits that doctrine perfectly. It was not random. It was not symbolic theater. It was a deep strike against a repeatable threat mechanism. And that brings us back to the fire at the airport. What burned there was more than stored equipment. It was the illusion that Russia can mass cheap strike drones in occupied rear areas and launch them on schedule without paying a price. Ukraine has now shown that the launch chain itself can be mapped, timed, and broken. And if that keeps happening, the drone war starts to look different. Fewer safe hubs, less routine, more uncertainty, more friction, more broken nights for the side that thought it owned the darkness. So watch this space carefully, because the next phase of the long-range war may not be about intercepting every Shahed over Ukrainian cities. It may be about hunting the places where those Shaheds sleep, where they are fueled, where coordinates are loaded, and where crews think dawn will come before the missiles do. Hit like and subscribe if you want more videos like this. Bye for now.